William Carter shifted in his seat, trying to look interested as the Xenovian representative droned on about human unpredictability. The massive council chamber of Centauri Prime sparkled with light that bounced off the crystalline walls. But the beauty was lost on Carter today. He had heard these same complaints for 20 years now. The humans have once again exceeded their allocated resource extraction quotas in the Proxima system. The tall, blue-skinned Xenovian said, his forearms gesturing dramatically. This marks the 7th violation this year alone. Carter glanced at his notes. The actual number was 3, and each had been approved by the regional subcommittee due to emergency humanitarian needs on the colony world Proxima B. He looked over at his aide, Samantha Nash, who gave a slight eye roll. She had prepared a detailed response to each accusation, but Carter was starting to wonder if facts even mattered anymore. The Alderian representative rose next, his insect-like mandibles clicking as he spoke. We propose additional oversight measures on all human mining operations. Their technology advances too quickly without proper supervision. Carter felt his jaw tighten. The Alderians had blocked human membership in the Council for 40 years before finally allowing Earth to join. Even now, after 2 decades of membership, humans were treated like children who might break something valuable. Samantha slid a note toward him. Same old. Want me to give the standard response? Carter stared at the note for a long moment. Standard responses had gotten humanity nowhere. 20 years of polite diplomacy, of following rules designed to hold Earth back, of watching other species take credit for human innovations after blocking humans from developing them further. The council leader, an ancient Dravian with silver skin that seemed to absorb light, turned her 7-eyed gaze toward the human section. Earth's representatives may now respond to these concerns. Carter stood slowly, feeling the weight of the moment. He had come to this session with the usual carefully worded objections prepared, but something inside him had finally snapped. Honored representatives of the Galactic Council, he began, his voice steady. For 20 years, I have stood in this chamber and defended humanity against accusations of being too ambitious, too creative, too resourceful. Today, I will not be doing that. A murmur ran through the chamber. Samantha looked up sharply, surprise clear on her face. Instead, I wish to remind this council of the advancements humans have brought to the galactic community. Our medical technology has helped cure the Belizean plague. Our agricultural methods have ended food shortages on 7 worlds. Our engineers have improved the efficiency of faster-than-light drives by 30%. The council leader leaned forward. Ambassador Carter, this is not the appropriate time for. And how have we been rewarded? Carter continued, his voice growing stronger. With restrictions, with suspicion, with constant oversight. The chamber grew quiet. Even the usually fidgety Meraxi representatives were still. Today, I am authorized by the United Earth Government to inform you that humanity is formally withdrawing from the Galactic Council, effective immediately. Chaos erupted in the chamber. The Xenovian representative knocked over his water vessel. The Alderians began chittering loudly to each other. Several council members shouted questions. Carter stood firm as the council leader banged her ceremonial staff, trying to restore order. This is unprecedented. The Dravian leader finally managed to say over the noise. No species has ever voluntarily left the council. The consequences would be severe. The consequences of staying would be worse, Carter replied. Humanity did not reach the stars by allowing others to determine our potential. He gathered his data tablets while the chamber continued in uproar. We wish the council peace and prosperity, but we will forge our own path forward. Samantha stood beside him, her face showing both worry and a hint of pride. Are you sure about this? She whispered. Carter nodded. More sure than I've been about anything in 20 years of diplomacy. He straightened his formal blue jacket with the Earth insignia. Send the withdrawal documents to all member worlds. Make sure our ships are ready for departure. As they walked toward the grand chamber doors, Carter could feel the eyes of 100 alien species on his back, some filled with anger, others with fear, and a few, those from the smaller, newer council members, with something that looked surprisingly like hope. The enormous doors swung open, and humanity stepped out of the Galactic Council and into an uncertain future. News of humanity's departure from the Galactic Council spread faster than light across the stars. Within hours, every planet with communication technology was buzzing with the story. On Earth, in the underground command center of the Global Defense Force, Commander Elijah Morris paced the length of the holographic war table. The three-dimensional map of Earth's solar system glowed blue in the dim room. "All ships are on high alert, sir," said Major Linda Powell. Her dark hair was pulled back tightly, her uniform crisp even at this late hour. "The moon base has activated its shield system." Morris nodded, his weathered face showing little emotion. "And Mars colony? Governor Rodriguez reports all defense systems online. They've moved civilian ships behind Phobos for protection." Morris stopped pacing and stared at the red dot representing Mars. "The Council won't risk direct action. Not yet. They'll try economic pressure first." As if confirming his words, an officer rushed in with a data tablet. "Sir, we're getting reports from across the galaxy. Council species are canceling contracts with human businesses. Our ships are being denied docking privileges at Council stations." Morris wasn't surprised. The Council controlled most major trade routes and stations. This was expected. Ambassador Carter's team prepared for this. On the trade hub Nexus Station, situated in neutral space between Council territory and the outer systems, human merchant Daniel Harris watched as his cargo was removed from his ship. "We had a deal," Harris said to the Jovian dock manager, whose purple tentacles were operating the loading equipment. "Those medical supplies are expected on Rigel 4. "Council directive," the Jovian replied, not meeting Harris's eyes. "No business with Earth ships." "Sorry, Daniel. Nothing personal." Harris ran a hand through his short brown hair in frustration. 10 years of building relationships, all gone in a day. As he turned to leave, a gravelly voice called out to him. "Human, your cargo. I buy it." Harris turned to see Krovel, a Valerian trader known for dealing with anyone who could pay. The reptilian alien scales shimmered under the dock lights as he approached. "The Council has no hold on me," Krovel said, showing pointed teeth in what passed for a smile among his kind. "I'll take your goods to Rigel 4. For a reasonable fee, of course." Harris hesitated only briefly. 30%. 40. These are dangerous times to be friends with humans. They shook hands, Krovel's clawed grip firm against Harris's palm. Meanwhile, in the shadow of Jupiter's largest moon, 6 small ships met in secret. Inside the lead vessel, Samantha Nash spoke to representatives from species rarely seen in council chambers. "Earth thanks you for coming," she said to the gathered aliens. "Especially given the risk." A slender being with translucent skin spoke first. "The Eridan people have waited centuries for full council membership. They keep us as observers, taking our resources while denying us voting rights." Next to them, a furry creature with 6 eyes nodded. "Same for Luxarians. Council says we too aggressive, too unpredictable." The creature made a barking laugh. "Like humans." Samantha smiled. "That's why we're here. Ambassador Carter believes the Council's power comes from keeping younger species divided. We're proposing a different approach." She activated a hologram showing trade routes that bypassed Council hubs, resource-rich systems ignored by Council powers, and defense positions that could protect independent worlds. "We're not asking you to openly oppose the Council," Samantha explained, "just to consider that there might be another way forward. Together." The representatives looked at each other nervously, but Samantha could see interest in their eyes. Seeds were being planted. Back on Earth, William Carter stood at the window of his office, looking at the night sky. The stars seemed different now, full of both danger and possibility. His communication device chimed. It was a message from an unexpected source. A junior diplomat from the Xenovian embassy who had secretly admired human culture for years. The message was brief. Council planning emergency session. Some members questioning leadership. Your departure has started something. Ambassador, be careful. Be ready. Carter allowed himself a small smile. The ripples were already becoming waves. 3 months after Earth's withdrawal from the Council, the research station on Saturn's moon Titan faced a crisis. Through the reinforced windows of her lab, Dr. Patricia Coleman watched as 12 Eldurian warships took position around the moon. They're blocking all exit paths, she said, turning to her team of scientists. This is what we prepared for. The dimensional shifting technology they had been developing was too important to lose. The Council had forbidden such research for centuries, claiming it was dangerous. In reality, it would give humanity the ability to travel without using the Council-controlled jump gates. Patricia's assistant entered the lab, his face pale. The Eldurians are demanding we shut down all research and prepare for inspection. They say we're violating Council safety protocols. We're not in the Council anymore. Patricia replied calmly. Keep working. Help is coming. On the bridge of the Earth vessel Defiance, Captain Henry Mitchell studied the tactical display. His ship was hiding in the shadow of one of Saturn's smaller moons, out of sight of the Eldurian blockade. Their sensors can't detect us with the new cloaking system, said his first officer. But once we move, they'll spot us. Henry nodded. He was a stocky man with gray at his temples and 20 years of space service behind him. We're not here to fight, just extract the research team and their data. Sir, there are 12 warships out there. We're just a transport vessel with light weapons. Henry smiled slightly. Then we'll have to be smarter than them, won't we? He turned to his communications officer. Send the signal to Dr. Coleman. Operation starts in 30 minutes. Back on Titan, Patricia received the message and set her plan in motion. Her team quickly loaded research data onto small, specialized drives. Years of work compressed into devices the size of a thumb. The shuttle bay is being watched, Patricia told her team. So we use the maintenance tunnels to reach the emergency pods. As they moved through the narrow tunnels, the station shook. Above them, the Eldurians had lost patience and started a forced docking procedure. At the same moment, the Defiance burst from hiding, accelerating at full speed, not toward Titan, but toward Saturn itself. The Eldurian ships immediately detected the movement. They're following us, Henry's tactical officer reported. All but 2 ships have broken from Titan to pursue. Henry's plan was working. Take us into the rings. The Defiance plunged into Saturn's rings, ice and rock particles bouncing off its shields. The Eldurian ships followed cautiously, their larger size making navigation difficult. Meanwhile, on the far side of Titan, 5 small emergency pods quietly detached from the research station. With no engines, just maneuvering thrusters, they were barely detectable on sensors. Inside one pod, Patricia clutched the data drives containing their research. The pods drifted away from Titan, using the moon's gravity to gain speed. They were heading for a designated pickup point far from the Eldurian patrol routes. Inside Saturn's rings, the Defiance was playing a dangerous game of hide and seek with the Eldurian warships. Henry had studied the ring system for years during previous missions. Cut power to all non-essential systems, he ordered. Let us drift with the ice. The ship went dark, becoming just another chunk of matter in the swirling ring. The Eldurians, unfamiliar with such unconventional tactics, continued searching with active sensors that revealed their own positions. After 2 hours of this deadly dance, Henry ordered power restored. Plot a course out of the rings, maximum speed, then straight to the pickup coordinates. The Defiance shot out of the rings like a bullet, catching the Eldurians by surprise. By the time they realized what had happened, the Earth ship was already halfway to the rendezvous point. When they reached the pickup location, the emergency pods were waiting. The Defiance quickly brought them aboard and jumped away before the Eldurians could catch up. In the ship's medical bay, Patricia handed the data drives to Henry. This technology will change everything, Captain. The Council can't control where we go anymore. Henry nodded. That's why they're so afraid of us. 6 months after leaving the Council, Ambassador William Carter sat in a room unlike any other diplomatic meeting space. Instead of the grand, imposing architecture of council chambers, this was a simple circular room with windows showing the stars above Earth. Around the table sat representatives from 7 species, none of them council powers. They shifted nervously, some breathing through special masks, others adjusting to Earth's gravity. "Thank you all for coming," Carter said, "especially considering the risk you are standing with the Council." A slender being with pale, translucent skin leaned forward. This was Elisha, diplomat from the Zircon people. "The Council has kept my people as provisional members for 200 years, Elisha said in a musical voice, always finding reasons why we are not ready for full membership. Murmurs of agreement came from around the table. "The pattern is clear," Elisha continued. "Any species that develops technology too quickly is labeled dangerous. Their advancements are restricted for the greater good." Carter nodded. "We've learned the Council's founding species have been doing this for thousands of years. They maintain power by controlling which technologies spread." He touched a control, and a hologram appeared above the table showing trade routes, resource-rich systems, and defense positions, all outside Council territory. "We're proposing an alliance, not to fight the Council, but to develop together without their restrictions." The representatives looked at each other. A furry, 6-eyed being spoke up. "What would you call this alliance?" Carter smiled. "The Liberty Coalition." Meanwhile, in a laboratory in Detroit on Earth, young engineer Frank Howard peered through a microscope at a glowing crystal. Next to him stood a Navarian scientist, whose 4 arms moved delicately over a control panel. "The energy output is still unstable," Frank said, rubbing his tired eyes. The Navarian, whose name was difficult for humans to pronounce, answered in carefully learned English. "On my world, these crystals considered worthless. Council says no important uses." Frank adjusted some settings. The Council was wrong. They probably knew exactly what these could do. For weeks, they had been combining human engineering with Navarian crystal technology, something the Council had specifically banned when both species were members. "Try new frequency," the Navarian suggested. "Based on Earth music pattern you showed me." Frank input the new settings. The crystal's glow changed from blue to bright white, and the energy readings on their monitors tripled. "It's working," Frank shouted, jumping up from his chair. "This energy source is 3 times more efficient than anything the Council allows." The Navarian's face opened in what Frank had learned was a smile. "Together we solve problem neither could alone." Similar scenes were playing out across Earth and on the worlds of their new allies. Knowledge and technologies long suppressed by the Council were being shared and combined in new ways. On a secure communication channel, Samantha Nash was briefing Ambassador Carter on these developments. "The Liberty Coalition is growing faster than we expected," she said. 3 more species have secretly reached out to join." Carter's face showed cautious optimism. And the Council's response? "They're calling emergency sessions, but they're divided. Some want to negotiate, others want to make an example of us." Carter nodded thoughtfully. "We need to be ready for either approach." "There's more," Samantha added. "Our research teams are making breakthroughs the Council claimed would take centuries. Frank Howard's team has developed an energy source that could power our colonies without Council resources." Carter smiled. The Council feared human innovation. Now they're seeing why. As the call ended, Carter looked out at the Earth below. The path ahead was uncertain, but for the first time in decades, humanity was charting its own course among the stars. And they weren't alone anymore. The Council monitoring station near Proxima Centauri detected the energy signature first. It was massive, unlike anything they had seen before. The station commander, a veteran Dravian, immediately sent alerts to the Council fleet. "Humans are testing weapons," the commander reported. "Energy readings exceed permitted levels by a factor of 100. Within hours, A Council investigation fleet of 20 ships arrived in the Proxima system. Their long-range sensors focused on the third planet, which had previously been a barren rock, too cold for life. Admiral Vexor of the Xenovian Guard stood on his command deck, his blue skin reflecting the glow of the tactical displays. "Magnify that region," he ordered, pointing to an area of the planet's surface. The screen showed something impossible. Where there should have been only rock and ice, there was now a vast green area. Lakes of blue water reflected the light of Proxima Centauri. White clouds drifted in a newly formed atmosphere. "This is a violation of Council terraforming protocols," his second-in-command said. "Planetary transformation should take at least 50 years. This has happened in months." Vexor narrowed his eyes. "Take us closer. Weapons ready." On the surface of the newly renamed Proxima Hope, Dr. Susan Wright watched the Council ships through a powerful telescope. Her terraforming operation had transformed 1/10 of the planet already, using methods the Council had specifically forbidden. "They've arrived sooner than expected," she said to her team. "Activate the shield and send word to Earth." Susan was a tall woman with short gray hair who had spent her career following Council rules on how planets could be changed. Now, free from those restrictions, she had proven that a dead world could be brought to life in a fraction of the time. One of her assistants looked worried. "The shield has never been tested against a real attack." Susan nodded calmly. "That's about to change." Above them, Admiral Vexor received new orders through a secure channel. The message was simple: destroy the installation. Make it look like an accident. Vexor hesitated only briefly. His people had always feared human expansion. Now they had proof humans were developing technologies too quickly. He gave the order to fire. Energy beams from 5 Council ships struck the planet's surface at once. For a moment, it seemed the attack had succeeded as a bright flash lit up the area. But then something unexpected happened. The energy didn't destroy the terraforming station. Instead, a dome of shimmering light appeared, caught the attack, and channeled it harmlessly into the ground. On Vexor's command ship, alarms sounded. "Admiral, they're using some kind of energy redirection technology. Our weapons are having no effect." Vexor slammed his fist on the console. "Impossible. That technology was banned millennia ago. How could they have developed it so quickly?" What the Admiral didn't know was that the shield was not human technology alone. It had been developed by the Liberty Coalition, combining human innovation with ancient knowledge from the Zircon and energy principles from the Navarians. As the Council ships continued their ineffective attack, small drones launched from the planet's surface. They carried no weapons, only cameras. They surrounded the Council fleet, recording everything. Susan Wright's voice came over the communication channels, broadcasting to the Council fleet and to receivers across the galaxy. "This is Dr. Susan Wright of Proxima Hope. We are engaged in peaceful terraforming of an uninhabited world. We have taken no aggressive action. The Council fleet is currently attacking a civilian science installation without provocation." The drones transmitted images of the attack and the defensive shield to every corner of space where communication could reach. Species across the galaxy watched as Council ships fired on an installation that was creating life on a dead world. Susan's final words in the broadcast were simple: "The Council claims to protect life. Judge for yourselves what you're seeing today." On his ship, Admiral Vexor realized too late that he had fallen into a trap. The humans hadn't developed a weapon. They had developed something far more dangerous to the Council, a way to show the galaxy the truth. 1 year after leaving the Council, humanity's influence spread across the stars in ways no one had predicted. The real revolution wasn't happening through military might, but through information. Alan Bennett sat in his small office on Earth's moon base, surrounded by screens showing data flowing across his creation, the quantum communication network. He was a thin man with round glasses and a perpetual look of concentration. "The Council is trying to block the feeds from Epsilon Eridani again," said his assistant, pointing to a flashing alert. Alan smiled slightly. They still don't understand how this works. Route it through the secondary nodes. With a few keystrokes, the information flow resumed. The Council's sensors were always one step behind. Before Earth left the Council, all interstellar communication had been controlled through Council relay stations. Information was filtered, technology was restricted, and many species only learned what the Council wanted them to know. Alan's quantum network changed everything. Based on principles developed by combining human theoretical physics with practical applications from 3 Liberty Coalition species, it allowed instant communication that couldn't be blocked or monitored. How many worlds are connected now? Alan asked. His assistant checked the data. 47, officially. Probably twice that number accessing secretly. Across those worlds, people were learning truths the Council had hidden for centuries. Medical treatments developed on Earth were being shared with species who had been told such cures were impossible. Agricultural methods were ending food shortages on planets that had been dependent on Council aid. On the planet Zircon, Elisha watched children learning from educational programs developed on Earth. The children's skin glowed with excitement as they absorbed knowledge that would have been considered too advanced by Council standards. My grandparents would not believe this, Elisha said to the human teacher who had helped establish the school. For generations, we were told our minds developed too slowly for such concepts. The human teacher nodded. The Council kept many truths hidden, not just from us, but from everyone. Meanwhile, in the Grand Council chamber on Centauri Prime, emergency sessions had been going on for days. The Dravian Council leader looked older than ever as reports came in from across the galaxy. The Human Information Network has reached the Outer Rim worlds, a Xenovian representative reported. Our member species there are openly questioning our policies. This cannot continue, the Alderian speaker chittered nervously. 3 of our oldest allies are demanding explanations for technologies we claimed were impossible. The Council leader's silver skin had lost its luster. We maintained order for 10,000 years by controlling the flow of advancement. Species developed at the proper pace, under our guidance. The humans have broken that system forever, said a voice from the shadows. It was the representative from the Meroxy, usually silent during such debates. Perhaps it was always meant to break. In a secure chamber on Mars Colony, William Carter reviewed reports with Samantha Nash and other leaders of what was now officially called the Liberty Coalition. The Council is dividing, Samantha said, showing the latest intelligence. Some member species are calling for compromise. Others want harsher action against us. Carter nodded thoughtfully. And our coalition, growing stronger every day. The Proxima incident turned opinion in our favor. Species that were afraid to be associated with us are now asking to join. A message alert flashed on Carter's screen. It was from Frank Howard, whose energy technology was now powering human colonies and Liberty Coalition worlds. We've adapted the energy crystal technology for medical applications, Frank reported excitedly. The Nevarians helped us create treatment devices that can cure diseases the Council claimed were untreatable. Carter smiled. Make sure that information spreads everywhere. Not just to our allies, but to Council worlds too. People deserve to know what's possible. As the message ended, Carter looked at the Liberty Coalition emblem on the wall. A spiral galaxy with a path of stars branching out from its center. The Council feared change, he said quietly, but the universe thrives on it. The great chamber of the Galactic Council was unusually silent. The 5 oldest species, the founding 5 who had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years, sat together at the high table. Their decision was made. Send the message to Earth, the Dravian Council leader commanded. Her voice echoed in the quiet room. All channels, all frequencies. The ultimatum reached Earth within hours. It was direct and simple. Humanity must rejoin the Council under strict supervision, or face complete isolation from all Council resources and territories. All Liberty Coalition activities must cease immediately. Humans would be restricted to their home system for a probation period of 50 years. On Mars Colony, Governor Maria Rodriguez read the message to a room full of human leaders and coalition representatives. When she finished, the room erupted in angry voices. Maria raised her hand for silence. She was a small woman with steel-gray hair and eyes that missed nothing. The council is desperate. They know they're losing control. William Carter nodded in agreement. This is not about safety or stability anymore. It's about power. What will you do? Asked Alicia, the Zircon representative. Many worlds still depend on council trade routes. Maria smiled. We're going to tell the truth. All of it. She turned to a tall man standing quietly at the back of the room. Gregory, it's time. Gregory Walsh stepped forward. As the most respected investigative journalist on Earth, he had spent the past year collecting information from across the galaxy. My team has gathered evidence from over 300 sources, Gregory explained. Former council officials, ancient records, suppressed research. It tells a clear story. He activated a hologram showing a timeline stretching back 5,000 years. The founding 5 species didn't create the council to protect the galaxy. They did it to control it. They've been deliberately stunting the development of newer species, keeping advanced technology for themselves, and hiding the true history of our galaxy. The evidence was overwhelming. Records showed how promising technologies had been suppressed, how species that developed too quickly were sabotaged, and how the Council maintained their power through deception rather than superior wisdom. We're hosting an open conference, Maria announced. We will broadcast these findings to every world, council or not. We invite all species to send representatives. The Council has ruled through secrecy. We will lead through transparency. 2 weeks later, the Mars conference began. Over 60 species sent representatives, including, to everyone's surprise, 12 Council member worlds who attended despite their government's objections. Standing on the podium in the Great Dome of Mars City, Maria Rodriguez looked out at the diverse gathering. Beings of all shapes, sizes, and evolutionary paths had come together, united by curiosity and hope for change. For too long, we have been told that the galaxy needs a strong central authority to maintain peace, Maria began. We've been told that some species are not ready for advanced knowledge, that some technologies are too dangerous to share, that only the wise council can determine who deserves what. She gestured to the screens showing evidence collected by Gregory Walsh and his team. Today, we prove those claims false. Today, we offer an alternative, the Open Galaxy Accord. Not a government, but a framework for cooperation. Not rules that restrict, but principles that liberate. The key points appeared on screens around the hall, translated into 67 languages. All technological knowledge freely shared. No restrictions on peaceful development. Mutual defense against genuine threats. Equal voice for all member species. No artificial limits on growth or expansion. As Maria spoke, news came in from across the galaxy. 3 council member species had officially announced they were leaving the council to join the new accord. 7 more were holding emergency votes. The founding 5 had miscalculated badly. Their ultimatum hadn't intimidated humanity. It had sparked a revolution that was now beyond their control. In the back of the conference hall, William Carter watched with quiet satisfaction. The council was crumbling not through war, but through the simple power of truth and choice. 5 years had passed since the day humanity walked away from the Galactic Council. The galaxy was unrecognizable compared to what it had been before. Where once a single power had controlled the paths between stars, now multiple alliances flourished. The Liberty Coalition, led by humanity, had grown to include over 40 full-member species and partnership agreements with dozens more. The old council still existed, but in a diminished form. Nearly half its members had left to join new alliances or declare independence. Those who remained had been forced to reform their practices or lose more followers. William Carter, now retired from his position as Earth's ambassador, stood at the viewing window of the massive space station orbiting Earth. All around him, Ships of countless designs moved through space, a gathering unlike any the galaxy had seen before. "Quite a sight, isn't it?" said Catherine Lee, who had succeeded Carter as Earth's chief diplomat. She was a tall woman with calm eyes and a reputation for finding common ground between even the most opposed viewpoints. Carter nodded. 5 years ago, most of these species wouldn't even speak to each other. Now look at them. The 5-year anniversary celebration of what was now called the Departure had drawn representatives from over 60 species. The space around Earth glowed with lights from thousands of vessels. "The Council predicted chaos without their oversight," Catherine said. "They said younger species couldn't manage their own affairs." Carter smiled. "They were wrong about that, like they were wrong about so many things." The new diplomatic protocols Catherine had established had proven remarkably effective at resolving conflicts between diverse species. Without the Council's rigid hierarchy, cultures found new ways to understand each other. Down on Earth, in what had once been a desert region, Frank Howard walked with a Navarian scientist through fields of green plants. The hybrid crops they had developed together were feeding people on 12 worlds that had once faced constant shortages. "Council said this land never grow food," the Navarian said, touching a ripe grain with one of his 4 hands. "Now it feeds millions." Frank nodded. "It's the same story everywhere. The breakthrough technologies we've developed together have solved problems the Council claimed were unsolvable." On a dozen worlds, similar scenes played out. Human-alien hybrid technologies were transforming societies that had been kept dependent on Council aid for generations. The massive celebration culminated with representatives from all attending species gathering in a great orbital assembly hall. The walls were transparent, showing Earth below and the stars beyond. Catherine Lee stood at the central podium. 5 years ago, humanity made a choice that many thought was foolish. We chose independence over security, cooperation over control, innovation over stability. Today, we celebrate not just what humanity has achieved, but what we have all achieved together. The applause from dozens of different species filled the hall, some clapping hands, others stomping feet, some vibrating specialized membranes in their version of applause. As the formal ceremonies concluded, Carter stood alone by a window, watching Earth turn below. He sensed someone approach and turned to find himself facing the Xenovian, who had once been his greatest opponent in the Council. "Ambassador Carter," the blue-skinned alien said formally. "Not ambassador anymore," Carter replied with a small smile. "Just a private citizen enjoying the view." The Xenovian looked out at the Earth and the diverse fleet of ships surrounding it. "We feared change," he said quietly. "You were change incarnate. The universe needed you more than it needed our stability." Carter considered this for a moment, then gestured to the spectacular view, Earth below, surrounded by ships of countless designs from across the galaxy. "The universe needed all of us, working together as equals," he replied. The Xenovian was silent for a long moment before speaking again. "The Council still exists, but it will never be the same. You have shown the galaxy another way forward." As they stood there, news arrived that 3 more former Council worlds had applied to join the Liberty Coalition. "It was never about replacing the Council with human leadership," Carter said. "It was about creating a galaxy where no single power controls the destiny of all others." The Xenovian made a gesture of acknowledgement. "Perhaps that is why you succeeded where others failed. You didn't want to rule. You simply wanted to be free, and offered that freedom to others." Below them, Earth continued its eternal spin, one small planet that had changed the course of an entire galaxy.